Hey guys, so in this video we're going to learn how to create some items with physics enabled and how to interact with them. So first thing we need to do is open your content browser, go to your third person, right click here and we can create a new folder. This will be meshes. While you're here you can also right click on a third person, you can set the color and change it to something bright you can easily find, as this is our main content folder. And now we just need to get some assets, so go to Click.o bridge, and in here we got a lot of free assets we can use, so just type in axe. I really like the look of this one, so I already downloaded it. So just download it, add it to your project. And now, once that's done, just copy this whole Warhammer to your meshes. It's always a good idea to keep all your meshes together for the project, because if you don't, later on it can get quite messy. So once that's copied, it's also a good thing to right click and update redirector references, so the engine knows exactly where you moved it and where it can find it. You can close the Click.o bridge. Now rename this Warhammer to Iron Axe. Open that up, and here we got our static mesh, so you can rename this to Iron Axe _ SM. And now if you were to drag this into the world, you can see we got the Iron Axe. I personally think it is a little bit small, so I want to make it bigger. So go to meshes, Iron Axe, open the static mesh, and here on the side on the details panel you need to find build settings, and here in build scale you can change the size of this. I'll change mine to 1.2, all of them. And now you need to apply changes here, not down here. So apply changes, and you got axe that is slightly bit bigger. Usually also the assets that you import or download don't have a collision, so press on a collision here and auto convex collision. If you apply, you will see what your collision will look like. So we can now save. We can close this, and now if you were to play a game, you can see it already has collision, so you can't walk past it. But we also want a physics enabled, so we want it to fall to the ground. So first thing, what we're going to do is, in our third person blueprints, create a new folder. This will be items. Open that up, right click, and we're going to create new blueprint and blueprint class. Type actor, and this will be our items _ BP. Now open this. In here we need to add static mesh. Static mesh. This will be our item mesh. And in the static mesh you leave that empty now, because this is just a base item. So compile and save. We don't need anything else here. You can close this, and now just right click on the items BP, and we need to create child blueprint class. This now will be our Iron Axe _ BP. Open that up, and now in the item mesh we can change it to Iron Axe. Compile and save. Now we need a way to hold all the information about the item, so we're going to create in the blueprints. You right click, go to blueprints, and we're going to create structure. This will be our item info _ for structure. Open this one, and in here we need to create some variables, so all the variables will hold the information about the items. So first one will be name. This one will be type name, so you can rename this to actually item name. Second one will be item class, and this will be type items that we just created, so items BP, and change it to class reference. Create one more, and this will hold our static mesh, so static mesh. Find static mesh. Where are you? Static mesh, and do object reference again. Now for now this is enough. Later on we'll be adding to this, so save this. And now we got the struct that holds the information created, but we also need something to hold all the different items. So we create a data table, which is in miscellaneous, and you create data table. You select the struct we just created, so item info, and press OK. This will be our items underscore dt for data table. Open this one, and now in here, if you add a new row, you can see this is all the info that we created in item info s. So first you need to change the row name. That is quite important, so you can click on this and press F2 to rename. This will be our iron axe. Be careful how you spell it, because as I said, we will be later on using this and we will be finding this row by the row name. So iron axe, here item name will be iron axe, item class will be the iron axe we created, and the static mesh will be the iron axe SM. Now save this, and now in the vault I don't want to be creating so many items and then just dragging them one by one, so I want to create one blueprint class that can hold all of them, and we'll have physics enabled as well. So right click, create blueprint class, and actor again, and this will be our interactable item underscore BP. Open this one. Here we need to add static mesh again. This one will be item mesh, and here we want to have a physics enabled as well, but if you can see, simulate physics is grayed out, so you need to change the static mesh to something. As a base, I'll just put cone, and now you can simulate physics. And also down here you can go to collision presets and change it to custom. A couple of the things we need to change here is the camera. You need to ignore, because if you walked in front of the object or behind it, it would mess up the camera, it would glitch. And you also ignore a pawn, because if player steps on it, he will start spinning really weirdly and it will just cause a lot of issues. So now you can compile it and save. And now if you drag this object into the vault, that will have a physics enabled, so it will fall to the ground. And we need a way to change this into any of the items we create. So when you open that, create new variable. This one will be item names. Change it to name type. Now click on instance editable and expose on spawn, which basically what it does is when you compile and save and check this object, now we can type in item names here. So if you were to type iron axe here, and now what we can do is interactable BP in the construction script. So open the construction script. If you don't have it open, double click here, and in this construction script we can drag these item names we just typed in, And now drag from this data table, and it's get data table row. The data table is the one we created, so items dt, and that will basically get the item name we just typed in, and we'll find the same one and outputs it as all of the information from the item. So you can out row and break it open, and you got all this info we can use. What we're gonna use it for is drag in item mesh, and now set static mesh. Connect this, and now the mesh we will be setting it to is this one. So now when we compile and save, this one is already changed to iron axe. You need to make sure you typed it exactly the same way as in here, as in the row name, because if you don't, it won't work. And now when you play the game, this object falls to the ground. So now we got iron axe with physics, and we can just be spawning many of these objects and then changing them for whatever we want. Also, the easier way to do this is you can make quite a lot of mistakes if you just type it here all the time, and it takes a little bit of time. So we can create new enumeration. So right click, blueprint, enumeration, and this one will be called item names underscore enumeration. So E. Open this one, and here we can just type in all the names when we create the item. So this one will be iron axe. We only got one. And also actually create one that will be none, because not always we want to have an item. So just none and iron axe. Save this, and now we can just go to base interactable, unplug this, so alt and click on the wire, and we click on the variable and we change it from name to item names enumeration we just created. We change the variable type, and now you can connect. Don't connect it directly, because this converter will just give you rubbish informations. First you need to do enum to string, and then from string it can convert into row name. And now when you compile and save it, instead of typing iron axe all the time, you can just select it here, iron axe, and iron axe. There we go. So that's a way of spawning items, and now we need to also interact with them. So we need a way to communicate. We need a way for these items to communicate between the player blueprint and this interactable item. So we're going to create a new blueprint interface. So in blueprint, you got the blueprint interface. This one will be our interact underscore BPI for blueprint interface. Open this up. Here you just need to create a few functions. So first one will be interact. Add another one. We will call this one in range. In range, and other one will be out of range. So we can use this in range and out of range later on. For now we will only be using the interact function. You can close this for now, and now we need to apply that interface to player and to our items. So open the player blueprint and change it to class settings here, and here you can do implemented interfaces. You add interact BPI that we just created. And now here in the interfaces you can see we got the 3 new functions that we can call. Now we need to do the same thing for base interactable item, this one, so interactable item. Go to class settings, implement and interfaces, and select interact PPI. Compile and save. And now we can just here, what we need to do is in the player, in the viewport, go and add sphere collision. So this one, sphere collision, we can just name it sphere collision, or like interact radius. This one will be our interact radius. Interact radius. Lock this here and change its size because it's very small to something 4. So this will be the range we can actually interact with objects. Compile this and save. And now down here you got on component begin overlap. So click on the plus icon, go back to interact radius and find on component and overlap and click on the plus icon as well. Now we got these two done. We need to create new variable. This one will be our, so create new variable, this one will be our interactables. This will be type actor and object reference, so change it to actor and object reference, and also change this here to an array. Compile and save. Now on our interactable items, we need a way to recognize that this is actually a pickable item. So in the class default, type in tag, and here we add the new tag. This will be interactable. Copy this because we need to type it somewhere else exactly the same way. So copy this, compile and save. And now in player blueprint, here we just need to check, so branch B and click, and we need to check if the other actor we're overlapping with this interact radius has tag. Tag is the one we just added, so Control and V for interactable, and if it does have that tag, then we can add it to our array. So add, actually I think it's add unique. So if this is true, you add it to the interactable array, and the object you're adding is the other actor. If it's not true, we don't do anything. Now you can copy this, paste it here, and now when we end, like when we're out of range or something, when we stop overlapping it, the other actor, then we need to remove it from the interactables array. Remove item, and the item we're removing is this one here. Perfect. Compile and save it. And now when we already have the items we're overlapping in the interactables range, what we need to do is type in keyboard E. That will be our input for picking up, which is I think standard in modern games. So type in keyboard E, and on pressed we're going to check if this interactables actually has any objects in it. So we need to check if the length is greater than 0, and do branch, so B and click, and if it is greater than 0, then we send this interact message, which you need to drag off from the interactable. We need to get a copy on the index 0, and we type in interact message. So send this interact message, and that will send the interact message to this other object, which is basically the base interactable. So compile this and save. And here in the interfaces, if you double click on this interact, it will create you event interact, and we need to check what we're going to do when that message is sent. So here we can print string, just leave it at hello, and you can, or like you can type in destroyed, and we will destroy ourselves. So destroy actor and leave it at self. Compile and save. And now if you go to the game and press E, this will destroy the item that we're interacting with. Right? And that's basically is the basic interactions with the item. And in the next one, we can, instead of item being destroyed, we can add it to the inventory and other stuff, and create more items. All right, I'll see you in the next one.